Greetings, this is Guiding Stars, and I'm here with Rose Marcus, my fellow colleague and friend. Welcome back, Rose.
Oh, thanks, Kristin. We're both just coming off the high of our evolutionary astrology conference, and it was just a brilliant event this past weekend. I'm feeling inspired and enlightened.
It
How about you, Kristin?
was everybody stepped up. I was blown away by so many of those lectures. So if you guys missed it out there and you are feeling drawn to any of the speakers' topics, which we have on the website, it's jwgaea.org. You can order a single lecture or a handful of them if you'd like. They're available still and now, and I can tell you they were really incredible. So it was wonderful. My heart is full, my soul is full, and I loved hearing your offering on series two, Rose. Wow, that was, well, we love talking about asteroids here, so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to. I didn't hear many of the other lectures, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, it's almost Halloween. What are you going to be?
Oh my gosh. I'm in a spot where I don't get many trick-or-treaters, but just up the street, people decorate their houses and it's just amazing. Yeah, so
Oh.
I'm very much looking forward to just driving around the neighborhood. How about
Yeah.
you?
I'm not dressing up either, but we'll get a couple trick-or-treaters, but we always have a big bag of our favorite candy just in case. Anyway, Halloween, the kids are grown now, so it's not the same, but anyway, we've got an end of October week here ahead, and we're gonna wrap up October with everybody and then just lay the groundwork for November. It's always a deep dive in November with Scorpio. We're already in the sun sign of Scorpio, and it just feels like it's been a very Scorpio fall.
Oh, it really has. It really has. And as we move into, it's just been such a fast track, I think. And, I felt very immersed, right? It's just every day is very, very full and the days are just slipping by. I'm looking forward to November. I think we've got some pretty nice transits coming up. And
Yeah.
as we talked about at last month, the last 2 weeks of October were a smoother go than the beginning, right? So,
Definitely.
and we're just into the last week of the month, and there's some lovely things coming up. Where would you like to start? Will I put up the PowerPoint for
Yeah,
us?
let's do that.
Okay.
We'll give you a list of everything that's coming for those of you that like to write it down and pencil it into your planner or type it. Um, there we are.
There we are. Okay. And here's a list. It's very interesting this month. We have two planets turning retrograde and two planets going direct, and I think two planets backing into other signs as well too. Is that correct? Well, we've got a lot going on there, as you can see on the screen. From start to finish, there is an awful lot. And yeah, what have we got here? Mercury and Jupiter turning retrograde, and Saturn in Pisces ending retrograde. Oh, it's a planet and an asteroid series ending retrograde this month. And we've got Mercury retrograde starting on the 9th and finishing on the 29th, and starting in Sagittarius and backing into Scorpio. That's an awful lot of planetary activity over the course of this month, huh?
Yeah. And before we get to November, we do have Mercury exiting Scorpio and entering Sagittarius. Let's move to the next slide.
There we go. Wednesday, October 29. And we are pre-recording this, so hopefully we'll get it out for this date. But look at this lovely water trine that we have in the chart with Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars. And this water trine, Jupiter and Saturn, because Jupiter is going to do a retrograde next month, basically Jupiter and Saturn stay in trine formation for the entire month of November.
Yes, they do.
which is wonderful. And Mars is a fast mover, so it's moving along. Mercury has just formed a trine there before getting to this 29th when it moves into Sagittarius. And as the sun makes its way through the month, it will form a trine with those planets as well too. And I think eventually Venus gets there as well too. So we have this grand trine in water re-stimulated, re-stimulated, re-stimulated all month, right?
I
And
think that Venus hits that grand trine the Thanksgiving weekend. Is that right?
I've got it here someplace. The 26th of November.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
it's Thanksgiving weekend. We have Venus entering the grand trine with Saturn and Neptune and Jupiter. So, well, that looks like a nice combination. I'm
yeah,
laughing. I was just going to say I'm laughing at myself because, of course, I only put up in this chart the positive aspects. Even Mercury, Mercury's going to enter Sagittarius on Wednesday and sextile Pluto. But I didn't comment, of course, here or draw in the opposition to Uranus. So I'm curious. Pluto is in Aquarius, which was ruled by Uranus, and Mercury is going to oppose its higher octave. How do you interpret that?
Well, when Mercury does that opposition, it turns this grand trine into a kite, right? And so, grand trines are lovely because we have that synthesis between those three angles. So we have optimization with whatever those planetary energies are. When things are in good flow, we tend to just let them continue. But when we have a little bit of frictional energy, it energizes. So the kite formation, the opposition between Mercury and Uranus, energize this grand trine. And it's interesting because that's all this really good flow with Mars. Things falling into place, and with Pisces is an archetype of attunement, right? So it's like tuning in, and Pisces is that archetype of potential. Jupiter in Cancer, that's about feeling your way along. It's all about that kind of dropping into what you feel most comfortable with. It's that finding that comfortable zone. And the Scorpio end of things, is about peeling back the layers and going to these deeper levels with all of that kind of creative juice there. And Scorpio is an archetype also too of choice makings and so on. So as this grand trine is falling into place, if you've been in this dilemma, or we've had all these retrogrades, so we've been having these kind of holding patterns, or if you feel like you haven't been able to move forward and so on, as this Mars triggers this grand trine, those decisions start to become clearer. They start to become more in terms of feeling your way along, feeling like, this feels like the right direction, or it feels like the right next choice for me, or things are coming together, so I'm able to see how those bits and pieces are converging to give me that whole picture on things. And right after we get this trine influence, for Mercury to be in Sagittarius, for Mars to move into Sagittarius, for that Sun to move into Sagittarius, followed by Venus moving to Sagittarius. This is like, once a synthesis happens, then I've got action. I've got a sense of direction. I can move forward with this. All of a sudden, the future is becoming a lot clearer. The road ahead is becoming, the options are becoming a lot clearer. Opportunities are showing up. The potentials are showing up here in a way that I think it's really accelerating after, moving through this period of time, a little bit soupy, I think, in terms of,
Yeah.
like, not quite sure it's moving. I feel this, but I'm not quite certain. It's like, boom, sense of direction.
The key for all of us is to follow what it is that our soul came here to do or wants to do, intends to do. Sometimes we're not quite sure, but desire always will tell us. Our instincts will always tell us what the soul is trying to communicate to us. We have to be careful not to get in our head too much because really the soul knows where it's going. It is true. So Mars being the lower octave of Pluto in Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto, as part of this grand trine this week, your soul will be clear. That is one thing I can assure you. You won't be wondering. We do have Venus in Libra, so even though you're clear, you might think, wow, what I want to do may not be what somebody else wants me to do, but I know what I need to do. And so that's really, to be clear, is what helps us be more courageous. When we're not clear, we have a hard time, really going after it. So I do love this grand trine. The Mercury opposition to Uranus ruling Pluto in Aquarius, it can feel like a breakthrough moment for you. It can feel illuminating. Yes, it can be absolutely a catalyst, accelerating your life in some way. One conversation can speed up your life very quickly, and it can even increase your nervous system. When you're excited about something that happens, anticipating something, or waiting for a call and then you hear the phone ring, those kinds of things. So I really do feel like this is going to be a very propelling week, potentially transitional week, but it is going to be up to you to take the reins.
Yeah, it's this opportunity that's available, and I love, that again, acceleration is a feature of this Mercury triggering the Uranus. And just to point out, I think you might have said this, but Pluto's in Aquarius, forming an optimizing triangle, trine to that Uranus. That those two planets are going to stay in that trine position for a while, but um, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, right? So we have that in there, and this optimizing factor here. I was just thinking this morning. I had over this past few weeks, maybe a month, I think, I've been in this dilemma about about something, and it was it was just about an expense that I was going to take on, right? And I was in such dilemma about it, and it finally just kind of cleared. And of course, I had to ask a whole bunch of people because of Libra, Venus and Libra, and got different answers. And I was in this dilemma. And now that I made the decision, the the light feeling that I have, and it's like after the fact, I know that the decision was the right one.
Mm,
While I was making it, I couldn't figure that one out. While I was sorting it out. It's just after the fact. I think that this Mercury Uranus, first of all, it's a trigger. It's an instinct. Just as you said, it's like somebody says something to you, you spot something, you read something, whatever that instantaneous moment that gives you that clue, that message, that impulse, and to take action on that. The results could prove themselves instantaneously.
I love that. That's the best feeling, even when the decision is hard. But
Yeah,
you have to make it. The universe will reward you immediately with some kind of validation, like this is what you needed to do. So thank you for adding in that Pluto Uranus trine again. Is going to be that way for some years still, off and on. They move so slowly. So given that we are in Scorpio month and Pluto rules Scorpio and it's in this solid trine with Uranus, it's encouraging transformation. It's encouraging things to look very different than they have. It's encouraging you to really start to accelerate those footsteps. And if you do even take one or two, the wind will be at your back if it's the right path for you.
absolutely. Shall we move to the next slide? Full moon. So we start the month off with a full moon in Scorpio. Here it is on the screen here at 13 degrees Taurus, Scorpio Taurus here. And you've pointed out the nodal axis. Um, what have you pointed out,
Oh,
Davis?
Jupiter is trining Saturn there.
Oh, Jupiter's trining Saturn. Okay, good. Yeah. So as I said, that's continuing all month. What do you feel about this full moon here, Kristin?
Well, every time there's a full moon in the Scorpio Taurus axis, it can be deeply metamorphic, emotional, for sure. We have Mars just entering Sag, opposing Uranus. So here's another opposition. I think it could feel a little bit like an eclipse, if I'm honest. Um, But I was laughing. I almost put this in the slide. Green means go, is what I wanted to say. The little dashed lines here in the wheel. Mars, while it's opposing Uranus, is sextiling Pluto. Green means go. And Pluto is trining Uranus, as we mentioned in that other slide. So, what's most important if you're studying astrology is not to panic when you see one aspect, but to look at the whole of the chart, the whole of what's happening. You want to anchor your energy in the things that are supporting you. So, you've got Pluto trining Uranus, Mars sextiling Pluto. And yes, Mars is opposing Uranus. And I will say too, and I don't we need to be careful when we're traveling and all those things. We can be very distracted under a Mars Uranus opposition, not paying attention. Um, we can drop things or maybe hit the brakes a little too late when we're driving because we're distracted. So do not be distracted at this time. Make conscious efforts to pace yourself and not be in a hurry is my recommendation. I never tell a client, oh, don't leave the house. You might get in an accident. I don't mean that. But as a Sagittarius sun, I'm already, a little bit um, distracted by things. So I do pay attention to this transit. And I also would feel very strongly about how it can change your mindset. It can open your perception to something you haven't. That is incredibly expansive and deeply empowering. So, on a positive note, I would absolutely say that's what this opposition is about.
Yeah, and I would think that you might have more capacity than you would at other times to cope, to act, whatever it is that you might be facing. And I'm looking at this because both Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius, the dispositor is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in that lovely trine to Saturn. So this is a statement, I think, again, in terms of figuring out um, where it works for you best. You know what your own comfort zone is, how comfortable you feel with taking action at this point in time, and this may be a point of where you are really going on gut. Rather than the whole mental end of things of trying to think your way to clarity, it may be that the gut is taking over and encouraging you. I think that despite, we always watch Mars Uranus oppositions for that sudden intensity, but there is a mitigating factor with the Jupiter, I think.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I didn't draw in, again, too many lines. I just want people to be feeling into these energies, but the full moon is making beautiful angles to the nodal axis. So
Mhm.
the south node being in Virgo is that full moon is trining the south node. The sun is sextiling that south node. So really integrating, emotionally integrating full moon. We've got the full moon in Taurus sextiling the north node while the sun is trining that north node. So again, this is a very emotionally integrating. It's not enough to integrate intellectually. We need to integrate emotionally everything that's happening in our life. And when we're feeling in full, we're feeling everything full throttle. To be able to just know what to do with what you're feeling is so powerful, empowering. It's healing, and it allows for the kind of movement that you want. So I'm very happy to see that.
Feel it, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to point out as well too that Mercury and Mars are also forming a trine to this Uranus to sorry Ceres, I meant to say as well too, and so um, set yourself free, let it go, move on, or take it on. both
Oh, I
ends of
like it.
both ends of those will be available to you. A full moon in Taurus is about finding that value within the act, right?
I love what you said. Move on or take it on. That's
Yeah,
it. Okay, so
Yeah.
that is it. That is the summary for the full moon in Taurus. By Rose. Move on or take it on. It's just exactly. I love Scorpio season. It's just we're speaking in bottom lines here today.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need to know exactly what to do. Not a lot of fluff, not any excess, not too many words. Move on or take it on. Those are your options.
That's great.
All right. Anything else?
No,
Nope. Okay.
I think we've got that. Mercury retrograde starts at 6 degrees of Sagittarius and backs into Scorpio, as you can see, on the 29th, and clear shadow on December 17th. And I always, well, so we're starting with Mercury in Sagittarius, taking us through here. So, and just is it, I think, 2 days after, it's the 9th when Mercury stations retrograde, and the 11th when Jupiter stations retrograde as well, too, just within a couple of days. I always look at Mercury when it's retrograde in relationship to the Sun. When Mercury and the Sun form an inferior conjunction, that is the midpoint of the retrograde cycle, and it shifts the momentum. And that happens on the 20th of November, just right by the, aligned with the new moon.
Yeah. I mean, we're already in the slowdown. We're already in the shadow now, Rose, of the
Mm-hmm.
Mercury retrograde. So, we're in the sign, it's in the sign of Scorpio as we are convening here today, but in a few days, Mercury will enter Sagittarius. And so, we're going to be straddling these archetypes a lot in the month of November. Would you say that this is a time where people are going to change their mind, or how do you understand this?
Well, I think that, of course, when Mercury turns retrograde in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is about the direction forward, about many different things. It's about your belief systems, right? And your intuition. But let's just say a sense of direction. I'm going this direction. This is the course forward. When Mercury turns retrograde in Sagittarius, we question whether that direction forward is in actuality the best direction for us, right? So something can shift that may change that. And it is interesting that Mercury is traveling in close proximity to Mars as well, too, right? And Mars and Mercury formed a conjunction on October 19, and will again form conjunction on the 12th of November, and will complete a conjunction at the end of January, but in the sign of Capricorn, right? So I think we're already in the shadow period in the month of October, with Mercury traveling through the sign of, I've forgotten where it started out in the month of October, but we're working through Mercury and Mars, right? So instincts and impulses together here of moving us forward. So
Well,
yeah.
it was a Mercury Mars conjunction in Scorpio.
Scorpio, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So we've got Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn to finish that all off. So this is, moving ourselves forward in this direction.
It feels like a faded period and a karmic dance with Mars and Mercury and Scorpio, and then the retrograde. I already know what what it's about in my little world. But if you can observe or feel into what was happening around the 19th, you will know better how to navigate these next the periods of time through the end of the year with the November 12th date of the conjunction between Mars and Mercury and the end of January. But even with this Mercury retrograde period, it's probably safe to say that you may not know exactly where you're going to land with whatever's come up or is about to until December 17th. That's because you've cleared the shadow of the retrograde and there's more information you're still needing to gather so you can move forward more clearly. Mercury retrograde is a gift when we are gathering information. So allow that to happen. don't feel too much pressure about time. How much have we been talking about this with Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde, set both back in Pisces now. So not until February 20th will Saturn move in front of Neptune in Aries. So still between now and February 20th, there's a lot happening. The bigger picture of your life. And so the details that you're thinking about or more information that needs to come before you make some clear decisions, allow that time for those to happen so you're happy about how things play out after February 20th.
And yeah, that's the information gathering and processing to the 20th when that inferior conjunction happens. This will be that information gathering time. And how that information is gathered, again, is moving through each day, the whole experiential track, and what you're feeling and what you're sensing, about what you're being exposed to during this whole period of time. Take it in, take it in, take it in. Allow for the advance of time to reveal the direction forward.
Right. And well, I said this, well, this is not an eclipse month. It might feel kind of ecliptic at that first full moon that we're having on the 5th. And with Mercury retrograde in the window between the full moon and the new moon, we always glean more on the other side of even tuning into how we feel about something. Pay attention because your emotions are speaking volumes to you now. Please don't disregard them. Take them seriously. And believe me, you will learn more in that window between this coming full moon and the new moon with the direction that you need to go or the conversations that you need to have.
Yeah, and when Mercury backs into Scorpio, do you know Scorpio is always going to give you more information, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, so know that whatever it is, there's something. There are more layers to uncover, and there is added information that will be coming your way. And yeah, I do want to repeat that sense of it being like an eclipse. There's several triggers during the course of the month that are going to feel a little bit like an eclipse. An eclipse is like sudden catalyst, something that is surprising when all those planets that we mentioned earlier are opposing Uranus. It's out of the blue, out of the blue, out of the blue.
Yeah, exactly. What date was it that Mercury backs into Scorpio?
On the 18th.
On the 18th. Okay.
Okay. All righty. And here's the November 19 full new moon, 28 degrees. There's Mercury sitting right there, and that and this new moon is trining Neptune. So we have the water trine going between about 25 and 29 of water signs when we include the Pisces, Neptune and Pisces, right? So this is quite a potent new moon. What do you say about this? Opposing, meant to say this as well too. Uranus is revisits Taurus on November 7, right? So by the time we get to this new moon, we've had the full moon in Taurus Scorpio. And now we have a new moon opposing Uranus, which is in Taurus.
With Mercury. So there's that Mercury Uranus opposition again, but now in different signs.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, this does feel ecliptic, I just have to say. But fortunately, hopefully there'll be a lot of happy surprises and positive surprises. When we say the unexpected, there are these outer liars that are so supportive, even the potential to manifest something more ideal for yourself. Venus, for example, is a planet of who we love, what we value, in Scorpio, forming almost an exact trine to the North Node in Pisces. And Pisces, ruled by Neptune, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So this is speaking to the potential for something more ideal in your life. And I would just say, if you are on track, that very well could happen. Venus also sextiling the South Node with that aspect there. So, yeah, another one that I drew in here, Rose, because this we are evolutionary astrologers, and I'm noticing Mars. While Mars is currently in this beautiful grand trine with Jupiter and Saturn, it will enter Sagittarius, as we spoke about earlier in November, and then move into a square to the nodal axis. And what that means is that it's bringing you back to a place on the path that you've been before. And maybe it's also presenting you with a desire that you had that you weren't able to follow before. Maybe you have interests or desires for something you didn't have time for, or it's just not going away. And so you're coming back to it and you really want to follow it. Maybe you're planning a trip somewhere, or maybe you're wanting to take a class, or get a degree in something. It's really this desire to grow and to expand your consciousness in some way or to expand your life experience through travel of some kind. It can be inner travel or literal travel out in the world. And so that's how I see that. It's at 4 degrees away from the exact square, but by the end of November, during Thanksgiving, I see this as people traveling now to see people they haven't seen in a long time as part of that transit.
As picking up those missing keys, right? It
Mm.
is actually the last week of November, the start of the week, start of that holiday week, and of course, in the U.S., that's the most traveled week of the month, right?
The year.
The year, right? That
Yeah.
holiday, yeah.
Mm.
So, and when Mars squares the nodes, when any transit is in square to the nodes, it's a crossroads time, right? You feel that momentum of, here I am, and I feel, and especially with the South Node in Virgo, of eliminating that which no longer serves and moving towards potentials that are now starting to build for you, or, moving in a new direction. So this gives an opportunity. And again, based on the fact that it is holiday week for those in the USA anyway, and it's Virgo, there's a chance to reconnect and to do some really good healing if there needs to be healing with people, or and so forth, right? To top up on what's lacking.
I agree 100%, very much so. And just coming together with people um that can allow for that, right? Um, Picking up where you left off from other times, or having those conversations that you haven't didn't have the courage to have before. The holidays always bring everything up, right? We're always a little more sensitive, a little more tender. But with Mars and Sag, I mean, it's truth out talking. So, people are going to probably be very loose-lipped and free wheeling with their words. And but that's a good thing. Honesty will always lead to the right reality.
Well, maybe I
And
might say with this as well too is that you don't need the extras.
no, definitely
you
not.
know, don't make it too complicated. I mean, so long as you're together, you don't need all the extras.
Yeah, simple natural scenery is plenty. Priceless, I would say on that note. So
Yeah.
overall, for the new moon, we always think about what do I want to manifest and wish for. All of us, I'm sure, listening do that on the new moon. If I'm not writing it down, I surely am thinking about it. But I would say with Mercury close by, retrograde, Mars squaring the nodes, it's unfulfilled desires that you have in your soul, something that you know you need to do for your own evolution. But I'm really, really happy about Venus's position. She really wants to help you make it feel better or easier than you thought it might, but also just allow for you to upgrade your life in some way at the same time.
Yeah, and for the rest of the month, she's going to be forming lovely angles to the water planets, right? So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we have an extended period of time. What do we have on the next slide? Oh,
Wow.
yeah, Neptune retrograde. I love this quote. Only love will have weight.
I do have a special quote for the end here, so I'm going to save it. But um, so Neptune is backed into the sign of Pisces. It's traveling with Saturn, and will stay ultimately station direct in Pisces in December, and then will finally re-enter Aries January 26th. So here we stand at the end of October. We've got 3 months, 3 months of Neptune retrograde in Pisces. This is energizing an entire cycle, an entire Neptune cycle. It's starting all over again for good, the end of January. The question becomes, what needs to heal for you on your journey? You haven't even been alive the whole Neptune cycle through the zodiac. How many years does it take to go all the way around the zodiac, Rose?
Oh geez, I think it's like 165.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. So none of us are 165 years old, but wherever Neptune is retrograde in Pisces in your chart is the focus. And it is really about, as Rose, you always talk about this unrealized potential linked with Neptune and Pisces, dissolving what doesn't support you moving forward, and also getting in touch with the spirit of your potential. And by aligning with higher forces to allow that to happen through prayer, through dream, through faith. And I think this is a really powerful time to work within these waters and to replace doubt with love, to replace fear with love. Only love will have weight, Yogananda. It's a quote here. And so what do you have? What are your thoughts on this transit?
Well, I think that it's just infusing, the archetype. So Neptune retrograde is infusing, and it's like stirring the potentials that are going to surface once Neptune moves into Aries next year, right? With along with Saturn and that new cycle as well too. So I love this idea, like just enlivening the water, you know. Um, and the thing with Neptune retrograde in Pisces, because Pisces is the ocean, and it's everything, it's all things. But when Neptune is retrograde, it focuses in. Retrograde planets focus in on specifics. So, it has the opportunity, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, for attunement to whatever specific, you know, um, um, energy is what you are meant to be aligning with, right? So it's different for each one of us, right? But it's whatever that potential that is now stirring, for me, in my consciousness, it might be different than yours. But Neptune retrograde gives the opportunity to key into it, to clue into it, to source it in a more direct manner.
Well, we've got the grand trine right now with Mars in Scorpio trining Neptune in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces on one side, and then Jupiter in Cancer on the other. And so this is a time where you can direct the wave, right? I mean, if you're surfing, you can't direct the wave. It's happening. It's separating from the sea. You can direct your board, you can direct your body. And so we can't control all things, is my point. We can't control all of life. Jeffrey Wolf Green taught that 20% of what happens in our life is fated, and the rest is up to us. Because we can choose to get on the board, or we can choose to catch that wave. So it is a time right now and up until, I mean, even in the next handful of weeks, but this week for sure, moving into November, where we're going to become more clear about our direction. We're going to become more clear about the potential of what can happen through this grand trine right now, because Mars is so clearly in alignment. And so I see the clouds parting. I see us coming toe to toe with what we know can be. And I can see with Jupiter and Cancer giving us more confidence and emotional uh, grit to do something with the wave. And so I also see Neptune retrograde in Pisces as a time for purifying our life in some way, our thoughts, our intentions. I'm really getting in touch with the truth, Jupiter and Cancer, the truth of how we've been leading our life and what we've been allowing to lead our steps and our choices. And so we want to access higher realms or the invisible realm for the support that we need, knowing that we will land on our feet. That's Jupiter trining Mars, you will, that we're not alone, and that our desires are coming from somewhere deeper inside of us, the Scorpio component, the Pluto and Aquarius trining Uranus, that as souls, we all want to evolve more than anything. We all want to experience ourselves in motion. More than anything, we want to know that we're not marking time. And this will allow us to make up for lost time and to accelerate, to accelerate the speed of our life. And so I'm actually feeling really encouraged by this window in time.
Well, I wanted to say this as well too. We've had the Neptune in Pisces, 14 years of it and so on. But Pisces, that oceanic experience as well too, and that idea of potential, and Saturn being the archetype of time. There's been a certain amount of time that we have needed to put in to explore the variables, and we've got the transing nodes moving through Virgo Pisces as well too, which is mutable, right? So this is all this, stuff that's kind of moving like this, that's like we've been moving through things, and there's a certain amount of period of time when those variables are meant to be there for consideration, maybe they meant to have some opportunity to show themselves, some opportunity to manifest, but not quite enough to click into gear, right? Not enough. And this has been a bit of the purging process or the eliminating process of the Virgo Pisces and of Uranus and Neptune, making things clearer, is that we've had to move a lot of those variables out of the way,
Mm.
is what the point is. And this is this period of time where you may have been in some confusion, you may have been in some doubt, you may not have been clear, but that's a program that has been necessary to work through. And there's a certain amount of time when you may not be clear, when you may not be able to see your way through. And I think that we get, anxious about that because we always have to know, and we always have to be doing and achieving and acting and accomplishing and all that stuff. But there's a certain amount in the creative process, if you've ever done any art, where you're kind of trying to do a canvas, and if you're doing an abstract or something, or doing a sculpture or so on, you have to let the form reveal itself, right? That's part of the creative process. So here Neptune turns retrograde in Pisces, along with Jupiter in Cancer turning retrograde in Pisces, and retrogrades are now starting to develop develop along a track. And at the end of the month, that Saturn turns direct. All three of those planets are shaping. All three of those planets are meant to dispel a lot of those, let it fall by the wayside, the iffies, the things that are not quite, don't have enough energy charge to come to fruition or come, to surface or to become the next reality for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's like an orchestra. That's how the planets they work together.
They do, and the retrogrades are like tuning an instrument. If it's not
Yeah,
quite too sharp or too flat, the retrogrades help you get your instrument in fine-tuned shape for your performance, so to speak. While those two are still retrograde, and oh, Rose, I do love how you talked about we've been exploring the variables and when we're not quite sure how something fits or how it will work. I mean, it really is with coming up with your own recipe in the kitchen, and it needs a little more salt or a little less of this, a little more spice, until it's right, until it tastes right, or the other example would be you don't take something out of the oven before it's ready, right? You want it to really bake and saturate and the flavors. So this is what this time is about as well. And it's important to remember as also that the retrogrades are accelerators in our life. Even though things are slowing down and going backwards, the function of a retrograde is a Uranian experience, which is liberation, acceleration, doing something different than you've done before. And when it's retrograde in water signs like they are now with Neptune involved, we are pulling back to see the bigger picture of our life, of the world, of our role in it, in our evolution, when we're all the way inside something and we're moving so fast we can't see the forest for the trees, we don't have the bigger picture in mind. We're just looking at our next steps or thinking about the next day. But with the retrograde, we're able to relax a little bit. That's a retrograde to pull back and then all of a sudden when you see what needs to occur, when you see the right color to put on that canvas to make that artwork just sing, then we can go and we can flow and we can really pick up speed. So
Yeah, and those
retrograde.
all those water signs allow, right? Pisces allow, right? Allow it to reveal itself. And once it does, get your keys and get going.
Yeah, the water cannot be controlled, right, Rose?
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't try and control the water when we're in it. And that's the beauty of the water. We have to let it do its work. We have to let it move us, right? Instead of trying to move it, in a sense, which means surrendering to it. And that will be, you will be very successful when you can do that. So I hope we all can surrender a little bit more and to allow the magic to happen with these energies.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I think we got to the end of it, have we?
Well,
Yeah.
go back one slide because I want to share this because I always have to close with, go back to the end,
To the
the Yogananda quote. So
yeah.
I came across this passage from Yogananda. He says, "What did you do with the divine presence within you?" Neptune's retrograde right now in Pisces.
Wow.
He says, "Were you conscious?" So if you're listening to us today, I'm asking you the same question. What are you doing with the divine presence within you now? It doesn't even matter what has happened before. We are here now. The journey is right now, not tomorrow or last week. It's right now. What will you do with the divine presence within you? And are you conscious? What did you do with what I gave you? The divine is asking. Did you love? Only love will have weight.
Wow. Beautiful. Just perfect. Just perfect.
It's so lovely to be with you today, Rose, and to share these messages with all of you who are listening. And wow, big, powerful month ahead.
Yeah. We wish you all the best and just yeah, look forward to the month and seize opportunity when it comes your way.
Indeed. Namaste.